It looks like one of the titans of Imagineering is stepping down from the Walt Disney Company amidst a giant expansion of the theme parks. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Tom Fitzgerald has retired from Walt Disney Imagineering. We're going to talk about it today in That Park Place. Bash, Tom Fitzgerald, a name that anyone who's followed Disney Imagineering should probably know quite well. I see here, veteran for more than 46 years with the company. Disney artist Eric Robertson posted photos on LinkedIn this week from what he described as Tom's retirement party at WDI. Robertson said he spent time at Imagineering and attended the celebration, sharing several photos from the event in his post. Disney has not made a statement about Fitzgerald's retirement, and no other details are available right now. Fitzgerald joined WED Enterprises, now known as Walt Disney Imagineering, in 1979. Now, over his career, he worked on many of the attractions and shows, from the parks, including Star Tours, as well as creative director for Star Tours: The Adventures Continue, the 2006 revamp of Pirates of the Caribbean, updates to Tower of Terror, Cinemagique, Soaring Around the World, Mickey's PhilharMagic, Muppet Vision 3D, and It's Tough to Be a Bug. In 1989, he became the executive producer of Theme Park Productions, the division that handles the film and video for Disney parks. In 2001, he added the role of executive vice president and senior creative executive for Walt Disney Imagineering, leading creative direction for Disneyland Resorts and Disneyland Paris. More recently, he held the titles portfolio executive, creative director, and chief storytelling executive at Imagineering. His recent projects included Soaring Across America, that's really popular, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, and you may also recognize him from Disney Plus productions like Behind the Attraction and The Most Magical Story on Earth, 50 Years of Walt Disney World. Vash, I am going to say something a little controversial right here.
Go ahead, please.
Good riddance.
I don't think that's controversial at all, to be honest with you.
I can't stand this guy. So here's the thing.
Okay, please. Go ahead.
We're going to get a little in the weeds here, guys.
Oh, yes.
On this show, who we believe one of the greatest Imagineers of all time is Mr. Tony Baxter. The guy's a legend. And this guy right here has long been rumored to be his arch nemesis.
Yes.
The guy who, when Tony Baxter's team gets so they ran separate teams. Tony Baxter had a team, Tom Fitzgerald had a team. And the rumor was always that if Tony Baxter's team got an idea, or got a project greenlit, Tom Fitzgerald's team would start creating blue sky concepts to try to take it over. And the other rumor that we've heard is that Tom Fitzgerald would try to go back into iconic Tony Baxter attractions and make changes to them to kind of like take the Tony Baxter-ness out of those attractions. Bash, I'm correct. For the same thing.
I've seen it, right? So, you can think of Journey into Imagination. The original version, obviously, it was a team effort for sure, but Tony Baxter definitely leading that project. And then what happens in the 1990s? Tom Fitzgerald comes in and gives us version 2, which
ruins it.
Everybody dislikes greatly right there. Star Tours, right? And this was a project that Tom Fitzgerald and Tony Baxter actually worked on together right there to bring the original Star Tours to life, at being the 1987 version at Disneyland. Well, Tom Fitzgerald would obviously take the lead on Star Tours: The Adventures Continue, and a lot of the Tony Baxter-ness may be removed from that as well. Now, I will say, as far as attractions go, or updates, I will for specific attractions, I'm not that displeased with Star Tours: The Adventures Continue, but there was a very unique charm with the original concept of that attraction right there that maybe had gotten lost with the updates. C'est la vie. That's the way those things go. Speaking of French, Disneyland Paris, right? Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I also don't mind Tom Fitzgerald's updates to Pirates of the Caribbean, adding Captain Jack Sparrow into it. It made sense.
Yeah, so that's a little bit more controversial. I do agree with you, Marvin. I think overall handled about as well as you can. And again, if it's going to be a company initiative, they were going to get Jack Sparrow into that attraction. So it comes down to, okay, Tom Fitzgerald's the guy in that instance, and I think did a pretty decent job. I think there was some restraint in many of those inclusions right there, but obviously, you have people that have taken umbrage with that version of the attraction. Speaking of classic attractions, though, Phantom Manor, obviously, Tony Baxter having a lot of say in leading the project for Disneyland Paris. And when Phantom Manor is updated, well, Tom Fitzgerald actually handles that update, and a lot of people have said that attraction has been quote unquote ruined since his inclusion of various technologies and so forth. It updated the classic Haunted Mansion on both coasts with the inclusion of, was it Constance Hatchway right there? So,
Right.
you know, when you look at all of these things, right, there is something to be said about this back and forth between Tony Baxter and Tom Fitzgerald. There's something going on there that I think a lot of people looking at these attractions and just seeing the name is okay. Please.
I would love you know, some insider information about that, but we don't have any. It's just kind of whatever the rumor is there. But honestly, this Fitzgerald, like we've heard it from enough like places throughout the Disney fandom where like it's if it's fake, then it is the greatest fake rumor of all time because it permeates so much. It's pretty much taken as fact by everyone.
It's infamous. I mean, I remember hearing about this rumor between the scuffle between Tony Baxter and Tom Fitzgerald. I mean, this was well over 20 years ago, and I was, you know, on the Mice Chat forums and everything like that, which maybe my old post still exists up there. I don't know. That's very interesting. But if you look through the chatter on various forums, on various social media platforms, on you know, the old communications methodologies that we used to employ in the internet, it goes back that far that Tom Fitzgerald and Tony Baxter really had it out for one reason or another. I don't quite know why that is and so forth. I'm not quite sure, but it just seemed like Tom Fitzgerald was constantly subverting Baxter laden projects right there, which is a real shame because I think you know, what they did together in Star Tours was awesome. Would have loved to have seen them work together in a great relationship going forward. Maybe like Tony Baxter and Bruce Gordon actually enjoyed. But that did not happen here. And
the thing with Tom Fitzgerald, though, Vash, is you never heard about Tony Baxter trying to sabotage Tom Fitzgerald projects.
No.
But you always heard about Tom Fitzgerald trying to sabotage Tony Baxter.
Right. And I know Tony rubbed people the wrong way occasionally. Given
talented people tend to do that because they're talented and people get jealous.
That's true. But I mean, the issue of credit has always been at the heart of so much in the Walt Disney Company. This is going back to Walt's day, actually, where Walt took all the credit for so much of what actually came from the Walt Disney Company, you know, in its formative years, especially. And we can also say that Walt had a big time influence in all of that. But as the years went on and as certain personalities were starting to develop, you know, there were some issues there for sure. And you know, when it came to Tony, one of the things I will say is that, and what I've heard is, people will credit him with certain creative projects, right? And they'll give maybe all the credit to him versus, you know, highlighting the individuals who were really a big part of what made those projects the things we've loved for so long.
This is what it is when you're the lead on a project. It's your project. Like I'm sure lots of people worked on Disney's Animal Kingdom, but Joe Rohde gets most of the credit. Like
exactly right. And so, you know, does a personality attempt to maximize that, or do they attempt to maybe share the credit around? It's always been very interesting to see. Creatives is certainly, you know, as prominent as some of these Imagineers that we're talking about, you know, kind of navigate those waters right there. I don't know if that's, you know, that has something to do with it, but I've always kind of heard that, and maybe Tom Fitzgerald really took umbrage with Tony's approach when it came to that. I'm not sure, but there was definitely something here. And like you said, it was always
that's a torch that he has held for decades now, which is like really, really weird. If it's just like, hey, I don't like the like, you know, credit or whatever. I mean, to hold that to try to like sabotage this dude's projects for how many years over something that petty, like, man, that's pretty insane.
It's so weird.
Yeah, honestly, but the other part of this story, Vash, that's interesting is that someone who is one of the creative leads of Imagineering would be leaving in the middle of Cars Land, Villains Land, Encanto, you know, Tropical Americas, the Indiana Jones attraction, so much being constructed right now, and he leaves during that. Does that tell you that maybe he hasn't been as involved over the last few years?
Well, I mean, he did manage, what is it, Cosmic Rewind. That was very, very recently. His last project being Soarin' Across America. Perhaps, in fact, you know, Disney was shifting him towards these kind of smaller projects in the midst of these larger ones actually taking place for one reason or another. Maybe Tom Fitzgerald kind of thought, hey, you know what? Perhaps there really is no future for me here. Maybe he skedaddles as the company places emphasis on new talent rather than legacy talent for one reason or another. You know, we've seen Kevin Rafferty leave, Kim Irvine. Oh, go ahead, please.
Right. Well, when you say new talent, Vash, do you mean people like this?
And so what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture. But like what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Revetti Attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
You know, this is a fair point. Perhaps I'm stretching the talent verbiage right there.
Well, no, I believe that Disney. I believe that's the talent that Disney wants. I believe Disney wants people like this.
And Dreamer's Point is the antithesis of the idea that Walt had this incredible optimism and hope for the future, that if we all work together and we all dream together, we could build the impossible and make it our reality.
These are the people that Disney want. They want female, Gen Z, or younger millennial Imagineers who are going to talk about shape language and build bars. That's about all they want right now.
I think so. I think that's those are the Imagineers they're most interested in, if we can even call them that. It's crazy. The people working there right now. I look, and that's not to say that everybody, you know, is well, what is it? Not up to par here, or I should say, worthy of the Imagineering title. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's just so many people that I really do have questions about. And so, even though Tom Fitzgerald, I mean, his projects were so like up and down. You know, obviously the Tony Baxter Subversion projects we've talked about at length, but his focus and reliance on screens and technology. You would think that Tom Fitzgerald would be perfect for a Bruce Vaughan era WDI, but apparently no, that's not the case. So for every single Pooh's Honey Hunt, there's. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, like, do you think that you know, this was sudden? Do you think he might have been fired? Because Kim Irvine, I believe her retirement was like widely promoted, right? Like all of a sudden, this was just like, oh hey, by the way, we had Tom's retirement party last week. Like that seems a little odd
for 47 years.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And like all of a sudden, like you know, it sounds to me like it might have been pretty sudden, and they were like, "Hey, let's take Tom out to dinner." I mean, we don't know if that's what happened. Obviously, we could be completely wrong about that, but there's definitely a major difference between how Tom Fitzgerald's retirement or seeming retirement has been treated here, and how Kim Irvine's was treated.
It's so weird, right? And Tom Fitzgerald, known as a company man, so you would have thought that the Walt Disney Company would have highlighted this in such a way that would have made it more impactful, I suppose. But like you said, it's very unceremonious, and that raises questions about what actually happened here. 47 years is a little bit weird to walk out on as well. Why didn't you walk out at 50? Especially right now when you have so many projects in the pipeline. And we couldn't actually have Tom Fitzgerald join any of these or you know, shepherd any of these projects. It's just kind of weird, just kind of bizarre how this whole thing is playing out here. There's no question about that. I don't know if he was forced out, but the timing is suspicious. You know, why would anybody leave during this time of all times? I don't know. We keep hearing $60 billion worth of investment in the experiences division, and yet we have certain key members like maybe certain president of Walt Disney World and now Tom Fitzgerald doing the opposite.
Absolutely, Vash. Absolutely. So, yep, Tom Fitzgerald, you know, he's had a great career in the Walt Disney Company, but at the end of the day, Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.